Welcome and happy Saturday. I decided to do a streaming Saturday because I just finished a video that didn't make me happy. I say it didn't make me happy because I did a video ranting about the Cisco business dashboard. And I don't like ranting about things, but I've just found it so problematic that I decided to do a video on it. Now, back up a little bit. The reason I'm even talking about the Cisco dashboard is not to rant about it, but because I've been testing some other Cisco switches and access points that tie into the Cisco dashboard as one of their selling points. Now, they have their own independent web interfaces. And they work well with as well as Cisco works with the weird interfaces that Cisco has for web interfaces for things, but they work. And I need to address the elephant in the room when I do those switch reviews, which I'm hoping to finish next week, and say, hey, this dashboard is just goofy. And here's my other video on it. That way, because I think I have 3 switches and a couple access points. That way, each one of those reviews that I do, I don't have to address the problems I ran into with the Cisco business switch. So, nonetheless, uh, I also am throwing this live on LinkedIn. I'm trying to do a little bit more LinkedIn because it seems to be an okay platform. And I'm trying to decide if I should also and additionally set up a dedicated Facebook page for all my videos. I actually have one for my business, but I thought about one for the videos because I get a decent amount of engagement, I'm realizing, from some of the things on Facebook. And it's just me posting all the places I have an audience. That's really what it's about. I don't think particularly fondly of Facebook, TikTok, or a lot of those other platforms. But if I have an audience there, at least I'll be putting content that's better than some of the cringy or inaccurate content, because there's definitely some bad content I've seen on some of the other platforms. I especially don't like all the just misinformed people that are posting about networking on some of them. I'm like, no, that's not how that works at all. It's one of those, someone's wrong on the internet, I need to discuss it or something. But and at least it's more venues to put this on is how I feel, reaching out to more people, because ultimately my goal is to educate people and teach them about technology and things like that. That being said, I actually ooh, how do I say that? S- Thessal Thessaloniki. I'm not Greek, so I don't speak that language. But cool. That's awesome that you're all the way over there in Greece. The only place in Greece, I used to work for a company, and they were from the father was from Greece. And they visited there pretty regular. They were from I want to say it's Thesvi. I'm trying to remember, but it was cool learning about Greece. It seems like a really cool place, a very beautiful place. I can at least say that. Um, the new thing I've been working on that I'm going to throw out here for people, it's not completely done because there's not much there yet, but it's getting there, is I'm creating a series. And, I'm doing this because me and Jay from Learn Linux TV talked about this, and it's being able to do Lawrence.video. So Lawrence.video will uh, take you to my YouTube. So it's an easy way to get right to my YouTube channel. But I set it up as a URL shortener. So Lawrence.video/, and I'll have like some of my playlists or videos I frequently reference. That way I can easily send them out places. Same thing with like Lawrence/business, Lawrence.video/biz to get to people in my business technicalities channel. So I'm doing a little bit more content organization and curation because I have so many videos. This has been like, it's one of those things. I didn't realize how many videos I have, and I realized, okay, there's like 1,600 videos. I have to kind of start managing these and putting them in a more concise manner. The other thing I'm doing, and this is a future thing I need to hire someone for, is got to figure out exactly. I got to figure out the approach of how I want to handle it. But I'm going to be doing. Well, let me go back to a tab here. And I started this project a while ago, and I didn't keep up with it because I started it as a process but didn't really follow through. So what I need to do is work with someone. And this is another place where I'm basically embedding all of my videos and then creating a series of landing pages. So like all the Synology videos will be here for category Synology. All the TrueNAS videos can be here for all the ones on TrueNAS, which, by the way, this is not up to date. And the website I'm using for this is called Lawrence.technology. It's another domain I own. But I want to start having a curated list. I'm throwing a link down here for that. So I have a curated list eventually of making it easy for people to find like the latest of my tutorials. This is where it gets tricky. I need to hire someone as I create a new series or a replacement video because, it was done with TrueNAS this version and now there's a new one with the TrueNAS this version. Then I want to make sure the landing pages all reflect always the latest videos. That's where I need someone besides just me because creating the content, running a business, curating the content, and going back and forth running a business is a lot. So I think I may be reaching my ends. And by the way, this is not a roadmap for business. You're supposed to delegate things. I delegate things in my business well. I haven't really figured out delegating any of my media creation very well. So that's been a thing that I am not great at. I need to get better at it. Let's see. That whole home surveillance IP cams, are you recommending them right now? Ask, what do you prefer? Right now, and I've talked a lot about this, we have, and we'll pull both up because I think it's worth talking about both of these. Let me log into my UniFi one. And I'll log into I'll switch screens here in a second. I know I'm not showing the screen that you want to see. Share this tab instead. So here's like the UniFi one. And we have this set up at my office that we keep running all the time. We also have, and I'll pull the other one up now. We do way more Synology surveillance stations than we do UniFi systems. So we'll pull up this tab. So here's my one here. This is my Synology one. And this is the one at our office. We still do deployments of the UniFi one. Availability is one thing. Second is features. As long as the UniFi has all the features you want now, it's okay. It's not a bad system. But if you go, hey, I want some extra features, that's where it's limited. You hit limitations with the UniFi of it only has the features it has. There's not a lot of extensibility to add more. There's no way to back up the storage, for example. Now you can download individual videos, but if you had to have some rolling storage requirements where you have to archive, back things up, that's just not a feature that UniFi has. I don't know where it is in our roadmap. If you have multiple sites and you want the systems tied together in a more uniform way, I don't really know how they eventually will support. Allegedly, I should say, will support stacking in the future, but it's not a feature they have now. So there's some limitations of it. But our general go-to is going to be pretty much the Synology surveillance station systems. Those are our general go-tos for those for business. Watching the Cisco vid when the live stream popped up. Yeah, I'm going to get some spicy comments on that YouTube live stream for sure. What do you recommend for streaming, recording, and editing your vids? I'm not going to lie. I really like DaVinci Resolve. DaVinci Resolve, my only regret with DaVinci Resolve, and by the way, it is you can use the free version and it works amazing. It's popular for film documentaries. It's really popular amongst a lot of people on YouTube. There's a lot of great tutorials on getting started with it. Highly recommend DaVinci Resolve. Cameras, I'm using a Sony A6600 with a Sigma 1.3. Here's say thanks for the pfSense content. Help me get loads of things set up. Awesome. It's a lot by myself for sure. You are absolutely right, Drew. It's becoming kind of, I'm going to say I'm finally getting to the point where I'm a little overwhelmed. The problem is I keep treating it like a hobby, and that's why I don't delegate it very well. It's not like my business where I assign people to do things. I've always like, hey, if someone has some time, work on this, and some of my staff have, are always willing to help. But I always put customer stuff first and foremost, and then I'll just take care of it on the back end. But now I'm to the point where I'm probably going to need to dedicate someone just to do all the things I do because I'm doing all the social media posts as well. So whole nother, that's a lot of posts because I'm a little obsessive and post I waste too much time on social media. I'm not going to sugarcoat that. Boot environments are cool stuff. Working 2301, 4 days without problems. Awesome. I would recommend DSLR mirrorless cameras instead of webcam, far superior quality. Yeah, I mean, the new webcams have gotten substantially better, but a lot of my videos, and even some of them with a absolute ton of views, were just done on a C920. Comes down to what you're trying to do. Content is first about what's your goal? What's the outcome? Are you trying to create a cinematic look? Well, you better get a good camera. Or are you trying to create a bunch of firewall tutorials and things like that? That matters about the content, not about the camera at that point. So you think about your goals before you spend a bunch of money on things. Yeah, they just released a license plate reader for uh, the UniFi one. I haven't done any testing with it, but it's interesting. They're getting there. So that's a feature that they will have. Well, I don't know if any of the cameras. I have to look which cameras are supported. I don't know that my cameras support the license plate reader for UniFi. DaVinci Resolve is great, absolutely. So we're going to make templates next CPNG like yours, Proxmox? Yes, you can. There is a template system in Zen. Matter of fact, you can take, there's an option, where was it at? Yeah, convert to template. You can convert an existing system to a template to be redeployed. So that's actually part of the VM. So yes, it does have a templating system. Playing around FreeBSD, having issues with pfSense, getting phones ring inbound with no audio. It's the way you register NAT. You need to find a provider that works properly with NAT. I'm not an expert at it. It really comes on provider. If the provider doesn't support proper NAT registration, you run into that problem. If not, and even when they don't, there's a way you can load a SIP helper in pfSense. It's been a long time. It's been a few years since I've run into that problem. It used to be a bigger problem. In today's world, with most modern VoIP providers, it seems to be less of an issue. What automation tool do you use in your home lab? Not enough of them, but probably Ansible. I've done more Ansible than anything else. What is missing in Nextcloud to use instead of Google Drive or Dropbox? What is missing in Nextcloud to use it? Confidence in the security. I would describe confidence in the security being my biggest worry with that particular product. Like it's a lot when you're putting things exposed to the public internet. Once you have them all exposed, I always worry, what is the security? Is there's a flaw found? How fast will it be fixed? So I'm a little worried about publicly exposing Nextcloud. Now, feature parity, Nextcloud doesn't have email is probably the first one. Not any good mail client such as Gmail does. So we're still going to keep using G Suite for my Lawrence Systems business. What's the Linux port of DaVinci? The only problem I have is DaVinci doesn't support anything but I think it's WAV format. So I always have to make sure I'm embedding. I think it's like PCM WAV for audio. It's only the audio codecs that are a challenge. But all my videos are edited in DaVinci Linux. At least they have been for almost a year now. Hey, William. Thank you very much, William, for the donation. Started using Invoice Engine v5. Great update. Still on the list to do a video? Yes, still is. Hey, Doug. Is this the Ask Tom Anything stream? It sure is. Have some serious questions about some skeletons in closets. Oh, yes. Doug, do you remember when me and you were just a couple internet, who's that guy that was harassing us that we and you had to make some stupid comments about? We should catch up sometime. If those of you don't know, Doug is a friend of mine. He's a local IT business owner here. He's in the adjacent city. So Doug's someone I've known for quite a few years. How do you back up a UniFi controller? You're seeing you back up the database. Where is it located in Linux? I would have to show you, but it's easy enough to find. It's under I don't know. I don't feel like SSHing into my UniFi to show you the path. If you Google it, it's probably a first result, but it's like under var lib UniFi auto back. It's under a folder called auto backup. And then you just back up. You tell auto backup to send the data there, and then you back up the data that goes there. Do you know if it makes any sense to ZFS on NVMe 1 teraroot for Proxmox? Not that I can think of. Nextcloud has a lot of features listed, but they're not great like people. Yeah, Photos is Google Photos. I mean, you can hate on Google for privacy problems and you'd be right to do so, but you can also say Google Photos is stupidly amazing, and it is. So Google does a great job with that, and I haven't found anything as good as Google Photos. My UniFi G3 Bullet can do it after 2 years mounted underneath my garage. Cool. Yeah, awesome stuff. Yes, we were internet tough guys. That's been a while, man. I'm running UniFi. I want to better schedule restrict internet access for my kids. I like an established schedule, the simple mobile interface. I don't have any answers for you on that. There's probably some nanny software out there that'll do that for restricting kids, but it's not anything that UniFi does a great job of. I'll just throw it out there. It's if you're looking for something good, you probably have to load a tool on your kid's computer to filter their internet. You're not likely to find it as a in UniFi. Not that it's going to work well. Oh, good. Someone else who agrees with me that Chat GPT is overhyped, but overhyped is fine because it's way better than some of the other things I've seen in the news. So I don't mind that people overhype it because there's worse things we could be talking about. Have you heard about buffering issues in UniFi NVR? Worse if I connected directly LAN, better, but not gone. Connected via console. So I am doing this. Let's go ahead and play back something. I'm doing this over a VPN. So I don't know. Let's roll it back 15 seconds and I'm going through things. It seems to be working fine. Let's go through detections. Let's play back a detection. This is remote. I'm at my studio. This is at my building where my employees work. So this is separate and I'm not seeing any problems with it buffering. So it's actually not a problem we've run into with UniFi. They seem to do a good job of choosing different video streams in order to make it effective for working over slower connections. I mean, obviously, at some point, the connection is not going to be fast enough. So Google Photos is great, and they had a Drive photo folder sync, deprecated like so many other Google apps. I loved Picasa years ago. What was it? Probably 2007 or 8. Picasa was amazing. That was one of their tools that was just, I really wish they hadn't have thrown that over into the Google graveyard. But if anyone was a Picasa user, man, it was awesome. But were they smart enough to log in, turn on Wi-Fi on the devices, tether their phones? They had to set up always on VPN. Oh, it's HR, not an IT issue. Fun. I do like this cup. So I started drinking out of this cup, and I figured I'll share with you what it says. This is from my friends at Huntress. They had a thing. They were giving out beer cups. They're called Breaches and Brews. It was part of their talk about security and that. I have some upcoming videos that I'm working on with my friends over at Huntress as well. Have you tried license plate protect on some models? Yeah, I need to look that up because I seen it announced that it's available, but I got to figure out which models it's even supported on. So that I have the UNVR Pro, so I don't know. Matter of fact, let's go to protect here, or not protect. I'm on the version 3, so I assume it says it's up to date. I'll assume that's the right version and it supports it. I don't know. I got to dig into the detection on there. Excellent, excellent, good. Oh, I forgot all about this device. This is the device that checks the door. It's the pfSense device. We've been using this for a little while. I kind of forgot about it. I need to do a fully updated review, and I'll mention that I have this in here as well. So yeah. Can you encrypt files before syncing with SyncThing? Yes, SyncThing actually supports encryption that it grabs it and lands it. You can land and have intermediary or final destination syncing devices or instances that are encrypted. So they are unaware of the data. They will synchronize it, but they're unaware of the data. And as long as you have the data encrypted in SyncThing, you can back it up that way. I think I've covered that in SyncThing, but I'm going to do a 2023 edition of SyncThings. I know it's been a little while since I did it. So this will probably work. Yeah, if you create a new VLAN and use DNS from clean browsing, but don't forget to force the kids' browsers, because a lot of them will try to use the DNS over TLS, so that will bypass your local DNS. Google stayed true to the word and reduced e-waste, releasing new firmware for the Stadia controller. Interesting. There's actually a side note of something really good that came out of the whole Google Stadia. It's a new version of rsync. Well, they started with the concept of rsync. It's a new way to transfer files at great speed. So it's a synchronization tool that supports a lot of cool features. It's open source. So it was what they were using in Stadia to synchronize game files, and they released it on GitHub. I thought that was kind of a cool thing too. What are the most wanted and still missing features in TrueNAS? Oh, that one's pretty easy. Everyone wants like one-click proper deployments. Synology does a better job than TrueNAS, but Synology puts a lot more engineering into their apps than TrueNAS does. TrueNAS is trying to fix the Docker apps that they're using in scale to match the way they work in TrueNAS with their interface. So I think they need to see a bigger team to get it deployed, but application control with better deployment is something it's going to be room for improvement, I think, for a long time. It's a big engineering endeavor. It's not like they're not putting any effort into it. It's just a big effort you have to put to it to get that done. Can you create a view that cycles through a group of cameras? Yes, no. You can create a view that cycles through on your, where's it at? Magic Video Tube. That's what we call it. Magic Video Tube is the UP viewport, and you can, where do you put the settings in for it? Here, all cams. You can create a camera view here that cycles. So there's an option to do that in here, but it only does it with the viewport. It's not something, it won't do it from here, I don't think. Is there even select view? See if we can add a view. Does it cycle an option? Doesn't look like it. I can drag the cameras in here, but I don't see any way. Yeah, nothing in here says cycle. So there's that. Doesn't look like it. Yeah, I'm not sure either until I dive into reading it. Let me grab something here. Yeah, until I dive into reading the documentation, that's actually, that's the challenge of doing these videos, is like, there's been a lot, but because it's not just automatically, it works with this, you have to understand what are all the thises it needs in order to achieve like license plate reading. Hello and happy Saturday. Smash the likes. I'm all for smashing some like buttons. Matter of fact, let's kind of go into this here. How many likes do we have? So we are currently 128 people and 27 likes. So please mash on that like button. Only mash it once, mash it twice. Mash it any odd number of times that makes you happy. Hey, Lord Systems, love your videos. It's helped me a ton get more involved in the networking before. Currently building out a network from home. Thank you very much. Awesome. Good to hear it. Would be cool if you could build an iSCSI SAN system in TrueNAS with 2 servers and SAS shelf increased liability. The way it works in TrueNAS is different. Going forward, they're going to eventually have clustering, and then you'll build it on top of, they're going to use Gluster with the TrueNAS scale systems. With TrueNAS Core, you can do the dual motherboards. I've done reviews on that, and that gives you your high availability there. So they're not doing an HA iSCSI in that same way. Where do you stand on creating VMs in TrueNAS scale versus Proxmox in a professional environment? The TrueNAS scale system, which I'm working on a virtualization video for it over here. I use it for virtualization. Would I call it professional? No. It's nothing compared to Proxmox. I mean, Proxmox and XCP-NG, ESXi are substantially better than this. It just is super basic. Here is like the most limited amount of features. There's no live transfers. There's just really basic. Even when you want to do a snapshot, please note there's not a way to snapshot it in here. There's a way to snapshot, it's just not in here. You actually would have to go to the data sets, go down to like my virtual disk here. I'm going to work on a video on how it all works, but like then we go here and then I can go view the snapshots, or I can go, you can kind of get the idea. Like I can go here to view snapshots, or let's go over here to data protection. Then we're going to go to snapshots. Come on, it's spinning. And then we can look through the snapshots here, which is all snapshots, but then we can filter them down to, yeah, Tom, those are wrong ones. I need the Ubuntu ones. There we go. There we go. Before my Cisco install, here's the snapshot for this particular VM. It's just not the same as doing it in something like a full-blown hypervisor. Yes, the 2023 sync thing would be great. Just been looking across multi-OS, Chrome OS, Debian, container, and Android phones. Yeah, it's just great. All the features sync thing supports. Did TrueNAS fix their Docker functionality? Ended up running a Docker and Portainer via Alma VM. No, it's still goofy. Love your videos on Cloudflare tunnels. Do you use the warp service at all? I do not. I'm in a mixed feelings on Cloudflare tunnels. I did the video because I know a lot of homelab people. It solves a problem without a lot of effort. Therefore, lots of people use it. I dislike it because it's proprietary. It's based on Cloudflare. I don't like building things on proprietary services. That gives you vendor lock-in. Now, I do it because, as I said, it solves a problem for a lot of people. If you're stuck behind CGNAT, you have limited resources, and Cloudflare offering this for free is awesome. But it's like the same as recommending any proprietary service that has a complete dependency on a company's decision to offer that service. It's not like it's something you could say, well, Cloudflare will host it, or here's the server tool. You just load this little tool on a server and you can spin up your own. No, not exactly. You can load the Cloudflare tunnels, but they are tunneling you to Cloudflare. That's my only problem I have. I know the code is open, so it's open source, but it's still tied to the Cloudflare service. So I don't really use any of the proprietary services for them. I mean, Cloudflare is a great DDoS protection tool for business. There's someone I would recommend if someone needed a large scale DDoS protection, because you can't do that on your own. You really need a bigger company to be able to absorb DDoS. But that's getting onto a different topic altogether. So compatibility between devices and software can be a nightmare. 8200 review, probably another week. We've been using it now for over a month and it works great. So too long didn't watch. It works as expected. So it's a good order one if you want one. So the problem with Gluster, and this is my understanding from talking to people who are smarter than me about this particular topic, Gluster can perform really well. Ceph scales larger, and Ceph does better with caching. The Ceph caching schema is more advanced than the way Gluster does it. So when it comes to indexing large volumes of files, there's more opportunities to configure high-end tuning. Comes down to how you configure it in Ceph than there is Gluster. That being said, I don't know. It'll be a long time before I get around to doing videos on that, because they're kind of one-off. They're used in enterprise space. I'm not saying it's not used. It's just a lot of home lab people want to do a video on it. The reality is it's kind of neat to learn, but it's probably not going to get many views on the channel. It's something a handful of people ask about. When they realize it's complicated to do, they'll probably wander off from doing it. Can you run Cloudflare Tunnel app on the same device, same IP you want to access from the internet? Yeah, probably. I mean, you can run Cloudflare tunnels on other cloud instances as well. I have one XCPNG host and my boot drive will not boot. My VMs are on another drive. Can I just reload my boot and reattach VMs, or can I rebuild? This is tricky. So you can reload and fix your boot drive. The problem is your VMs. The metadata is all saved with an XCPNG unless you chose to back it up. If you did not back up your metadata, you will have to recreate the VMs and reattach those files. So they can't be redone. They're just XVA files, but the metadata, like how much RAM it had, processor settings, network settings, that was all stored in a database inside of XCPNG. That database is easy to back up, but I think you're asking because perhaps you didn't back it up. Proxmox clustering and Ceph integration is way more mature. Probably more mature than a TrueNAS system for sure. Tailscale solved all my tunnel needs, and the wonderful team over there, the ability to share nodes across accounts is a wow moment discovered. You know, they had a security incident, and it was exactly what you want from a security incident. Some researcher found a problem, was able to reproduce a problem. They tested a problem. They fixed the problem. They debriefed on all of it. They even said that they had a way to check to see if this was ever used in a while and said it wasn't. Like, awesome. Security's hard, but it's great when you're a company that doesn't leave us vaguely wondering what the hell's going on. Looking at you, LastPass. So even though Tailscale's a security researcher found a flaw in it, it didn't make me less confident in the product. It made me more confident because they're listening to security researchers. They're doing their due diligence, and when they do a write up, they're not vaguely telling you we fixed it. We don't know if this happened. They go, we checked and never found anyone else who was able to do this outside of the security researcher. Awesome. That's what you like to hear. That also means to keep good logs because you're able to look. Do you recommend installing Docker or Portainer on Proxmox itself, or creating a VM in Proxmox and installing Docker there? For me, I don't use Proxmox. So I would build a virtual machine that runs Docker and then put all your Docker and Portainer instances in there. Hi, Lawrence. Thank you for your great videos. I have a question. When you make a VLAN interface on a router, most routers do inter VLAN by default. Do you have tutorials disabled with different vendors? No, it does not do it by default. When you create a new interface inside of pfSense, so I guess it depends on if you're talking about UniFi, they do one by default. If I'm not mistaken, their default is still allow all unless you create it as a guest. If you create a normal one, they allow inter VLAN routing. So I do have videos on how to do it in pfSense. I don't think I have any recent videos on how to do it in UniFi, but I'd recommend doing it in pfSense, which, by the way, doesn't have rules that default allow. I saw your shorts videos on labels. Can you elaborate? New video about labels and tool recommendation. I don't know what recommendation you're looking for. I think I've mentioned before that we bought this. I'll bring it up again because I think it's such a cool device. I'll drop a link here for everyone. I've had this thing and I bought it. Let's see. I'll drop a link for everyone. The Nimbot, I bought it a year ago, and I'm still using it. This thing's great for doing labels. It's cheap and just works. I guess IX Systems went with Gluster because it runs on top of ZFS as SF, which has its own system. That seems likely. Do you use S1 Controller Complete, and why? Complete because it does all the things. Thank you for excellent pfSense tutorials. S1 is SentinelOne for anyone wondering. It's a cybersecurity tool we use. I have one problem with multi-WAN config. When the WAN link goes down, it automatically switches to the backup WAN. One problem. It's a problem because it switches. However, when the main link comes up, the gateway does not switch back in the main link until I initiate manually. Yeah, I've done videos on this. It's explaining how states work. So I have videos explaining how states work. Look at my multi-WAN. I posted these within the last month. pfSense multi-WAN. So basically, states stay where they are unless you disable them. Now, states eventually will wander over the other way with a few exceptions. If a state has a persistence, such as like a phone that keeps registering, it'll stay on the backup WAN. because the only way to get it off the backup WAN is to disrupt it. You don't want to disrupt it. The other option is going with a more expensive SD-WAN solution that controls the states for you. So that's why that's doing that. UniFi does this by default. pfSense, not so much. I lost there. Hey, Tom, did you still get the other talking about virtual machine running as containers? Still want, yeah, reach out to me on that. I want to show you some things about Metal 3. Okay, reach out to me, message me on LinkedIn or wherever. I don't know where we talked about it. So reach out to me again to refresh my memory. I have Ubiquiti Edge Router X looking for replacement. I want the same form factor, but just a little more powerful suggestions. Doesn't have to be from Ubiquiti. I'm partial to pfSense, so I don't really know what else is in that form factor, though. I mean, the Netgate 2100s are, but I have no idea what your budget is. If your budget's only Edge Router budget, Edge Router X budget, then you may not like the 2100 because it's going to be a lot more. pfSense's implicit deny is there a default. Well, there's just no rules. When you create a new interface of pfSense, there's no rules. So it's kind of like an implicit deny because there's no rules. Oh, yeah. You guys want to know why it's pink? I'll let people guess why it's pink. How do you remotely manage pfSense deployments? You can do a reverse VPN. You can usually we have access to the devices behind the pfSense, so you can remote into the client server and connect to them that way as well. Did you get the pink one so no one steals it on a job site? That's the winner right there. Someone knows. Do you know if UniFi offers a package to sell a premium version of Wi-Fi by their... No. UniFi offers a package to sell a premium version of Wi-Fi by the day or recurring. They don't really have a good system for that built in. For like selling hotspots, pay for a separate captive portal if that's what you're trying to do. When with multi-user reservoir, if the circuit goes down, a flapping circuit is hell in a business. Circuit goes down to keep it down. Not really a keep it down. I don't know any way to like force it. Like once you can set timeouts and thresholds, but a flapping system is what it is. Yeah, there's not like you can set the thresholds to have it down for a longer time or set the thresholds to be more sensitive to making sure it's up, but is what it is. Yeah, send me a message on Twitter. I won't lie, I forgot. So I think I vaguely remember the conversation. If you bump it back to the top, that'll be fine. You have a blue one so you can find it. Yeah. Easy to find because no one can steal. Those are also good answers. What do I think about the Cisco SBS switches like the SBS 350? They have a nice GUI to manage. Cisco has Cisco dashboard to UniFi. Oh man, I probably have some hot, spicy comments. So far, I've had high hopes for Cisco. I just did a video ranting about this. And people are commenting. My other video is about it, but let's go ahead and pull up the switch you're asking about. I think the Cisco dashboard is garbage. That's my other video. But I will talk about their switches. The dashboard they have is just bad. I did a video about how bad I think it is. And I usually don't do videos about how bad something is. That's not what I don't like just ranting about stuff. That's not really my style, but I'm going to work on these reviews. Like this is a Cisco SBS CBS 350 8FP 2G. So here's the model on here. You can find these. I'll drop it a link in here. What do I think of them? I mean, they're Cisco. They work. I think this is cool because they actually have the option to run a VLAN wizard. So I thought that was cool. You have some configuration wizards. You have one of the slowest possible dashboards because this is a live stream. This is being done in real time, and it's this painfully slow. It is pain to use this. Like when you want to do stuff in here, it's just so. Once you click through a few times, it gets a little bit faster. But yeah, it's not the fastest dashboard to configure things. Also, I've set up the Cisco dashboard and it just doesn't do. I did a video. I have another video on that topic. So yeah, I love to start getting pink as my default toolkit for many pieces missing on job sites over the years. Yes. Yes. Sure. Because here's the big thing. DDoSing. I don't care if you have a Cisco or a Netgate. DDoSing is just not defensible by a basic firewall. You need an upstream provider who can defend you. It's not like, oh, let me check the magic DDoS box on my Netgate that'll magically stop too many packets coming to this IP address. Sorry, that's not how networking works. DDoS protection does not come from the device. It comes from being able to filter in often coordination with upstream providers the amount of traffic. So if you have an IP address and you are getting bombarded with traffic, that means you have a traffic coming at you often at a rate greater than let's say I have a 1 gig connection and 2 gigs of traffic comes at me, it's going to get thrown away. If you have a 1 terabyte connection and 10 terabytes, 100 terabytes of traffic comes at you, you're getting DDoSed. It doesn't matter what switch you put in there. It has to do with the upstream provider being able to mitigate that and filter it. I have some friends who work for like Arbor Networks, so I'm pretty familiar with how the implementation on the back end goes on this. But it's not like just buy something different. Like, oh yeah, Cisco protects you better against DDoS than Netgate. That's not the case. It's because that's not where the DDoS challenges are coming in. Would your preference be Proxmox, EXI, or XCP&G? XCP&G all day, every day. Looks like other small Cisco switches that Cisco knocked out. Yeah. There are some EBF tools. Yes. Yeah. Why in hell did he release this? I think you're talking about the Cisco stuff. I don't know. It's I'm not excited about the Cisco stuff. Like it works. I don't like if you wanted to buy this is a nice PoE switch. It wasn't hard to set up. They made it easy to configure. They even have a wizard for configuring ACLs. So if you need to do some ACL configuration, like cool, they have it. Oh, but it's just be prepared, be patient, not be prepared. Be prepared to be patient, maybe is what I should say. Welcome to the ACL wizard. And new ACL name. Do we want a Mac ACL? I think that it's nice that they made some of these features like easy to deal with. They give you a nice look of the switch itself. I like that I can click on any of these interfaces to see the settings. I mean, they did a nice job on this. This part I will give them. That's why I wanted to do that separate. Well, that's why I did the separate video on the Cisco dashboard, was to kind of talk about the fact that the switches are maybe something you'll consider buying, but I don't think you should consider the Cisco dashboard. My experience were terrible. What are the pros and cons between Proxmox and Zen? Good news, got a completely dedicated video for that. Pros and cons in short, though, one's built the way that Proxmox is built is not exactly the same the way at Zen. Zen overall has a more secure by design because of the way they parse everything and break everything down. There's a whole long write-up, both in my video and the forum, where I go into the nuances and details of how that works. Second, sometimes people may consider this an advantage for Proxmox. I look at it for a scalability of Zen. Zen uses a separate tool called Zen Orchestra to orchestrate large-scale deployments. So I think Zen is better suited towards managing large deployments based on my experience of managing large deployments with Zen compared to Proxmox. But Proxmox is good and solid. And when you're talking about homelab, maybe you want to lean towards Proxmox, but I'm partial to Zen myself. The dashboard needs some work. The CBS switches seem to support a good set of L2 security. DHCP snooping guard can comment stability functionality of these. I didn't dive into every advanced feature on the switch. I can comment that the dashboard was terrible, but the switches seem fine. Like stable. I've been running it for 6 months and it hasn't crashed. The Cisco switch, but I didn't expect it to crash because even I won't lie, even the TP-Link cheap switches seem to not crash. So, you know, um, switches working for long periods of time is kind of the norm. Matter of fact, most of the Cisco switches, you pull them out of service because they're so old, not because they died. So I trust Cisco to make a long, reliable device. I guess we thankful for CGNAT for DDoS protection. True. It's someone else's problem at that point. After 3 cups of coffee for loading time. Loading time. Did you do a video on backup the boot drive at XCPG? I've been noob and still learning. I did a whole video about backup and disaster recovery in Zen, and I covered it in my disaster recovery, but really it's a matter of if you go to the backups and you look at the backup jobs, let me find one of them. Well, I'll just hit new to show you where they are. Backup metadata. You just choose the pool you want backed up. Pool metadata, which pool? There you go. There's your metadata backup. It's easy to do with the backup tool. I covered that in my disaster recovery video. Nice alternative to Catalyst 1000 server. Had a full Cisco iOS, simpler web management. A nice alternative. Yeah, I think I did a review of the Cisco 1000 series because I was aggravated. And this comes down to Network Chuck mistakenly said they supported auto stacking, and they don't. They do support stacking. It's just not automated. So that's, yeah. Anyone using the CX6000 Aruba switches? Use VM Mug Advantage. You want to use VMware in a home lab, $200 a year. More secure, more extensible built-in backup. That's why I like XCPNG. Port STI, not entire switches generally. It's rare even, I mean, not, a port is more likely to die than a whole switch, but even port failure is not common. It's not a zero, like it never happens, but it's still statistically not something we spend a whole lot of time servicing. Learning networking, I want to know what businesses in the real world to connect multiple offices together. Do they literally just use site-to-site VPNs as a remote supplier? It varies a lot. Site-to-site VPNs are pretty common. The small business world is all connecting to the cloud. So the small business world is a lot less about site to sites. The larger businesses are site to sites, usually with their, VPN solutions. We've been deploying a lot of like pfSense. We just tied together a client that has like 5 locations across the US and help them build out all their servers across all their locations with pfSense. So they all talk to each other via that. So it's kind of varies from time to time. Lots of companies do use commercial products. So it's kind of like not their problem. Cisco does stuff that just runs, but no one ever updates the firmware. True that. That is for sure. But I think you have to pay for the support. I don't have the context for that. Do I use XCPG in my home lab? My office is my home lab, so sure. I it's all blended together for me. So technically, yes. What things do you consider choosing hard drives for TrueNAS? Any recommendations? I think my recommendation I would really go for is going to be Blaze Stats. Check the Backblaze hard drive stats, and you'll find a lot of good information. They'll tell you about failures of drives over time. They've been doing this for a long time. It is just crazy how many drives. I mean, I can only tell you my experience on maybe larger scale deployments we're doing of petabytes of storage, but even a petabyte of storage is only, 60 drives, and we sold a few of those. But when you talk about someone who's done 226,000 drives, I think they're going to have an even better, more well-rounded answer. And you can get this. This is just Backblaze hard drive stats. They tell you what drives failed, so that could be a good indicator if you understand. And I've done videos on it before, and I'll probably do a new one soon on how to read their reports, which are pretty clear. They have a breakdown of how to read them. They're pretty great. Out of 1,000 switches I've deployed, I think I've had one switch die and 4 ports die in 10 years. So yes, you're right. Yeah, it's just one of those things. It's just not very often. The answer is not now. Physically damaged switch ports definitely had that different issue. Also, a head scratching one. Like someone really took the effort to rip that port out. Like someone, why didn't the Ethernet cord give out for the port did? And as someone, if you work in professional networking, you'll see a lot of things. Some of those things are dangling out of switches. So you're like, oh, look at that. Who thought this should dangle over there? Is it popular to offer SDN solution using only open source? There are SDN softwares out there for open source, but what kind of software defined solution are you trying to do? You have to start with what's the goal? Just curious if there's any intention to say dive in a bit of OpenSense. No, I just don't have an interest in OpenSense. Like it doesn't have anything that makes me go, man, if only pfSense had this feature, I would be using it. And my experience from pfSense is drawing on the fact that it has features we're using it. We're using this deployed at scale with a lot of businesses. So we have a couple different things we do. We have all the businesses we manage, which is I think almost 70 businesses right now we're managing. So those are us managing it. Then we have all the consulting. And we did over 400 businesses hired us for a lot of one-off consulting work. Some of that, a strong percentage of it was for pfSense integrations. So you're also, hearing from me and via me, my team talking about pfSense implementation. We just don't use OpenSense. So there's not likely, why would I take the time to learn it? I don't really use it. And that's actually one of the reasons, at least in my head, that I think some of my tutorials become better is because I'm sharing my real world deployment experience, not a lab I set up. I do lab things out all the time, especially for demos, but I know the difference between the lab and the demo and the real world experiences because once you've deployed these, you learn things differently. So you understand how they work at scale. So that's why I don't really take the time to use OpenSense. It's just not on my roadmap. You appreciate the Q&As? I do them. Yeah, I want to do more of these on Saturdays too. I saw a video of Alliance Tech Tips. They upgraded the firewall to pfSense so they couldn't use the NIC because BSD is there a TNSR version with no GUI with a new BSD. TNSR is based on Linux, not BSD. And the new 2301 of pfSense has the new kernel. So that problem's gone. Linus had one minor problem, which is kind of a weird one because the older version supported. I don't know what exact card he had that wasn't working. But nonetheless, here is my system running the 2301, which is FreeBSD 14. So there's FreeBSD 14. So you can run this now. It's in release candidate, and it'll have the latest drivers in it. AP's ubiquity for marketing have a different model number than the ones found in Europe. Is there a tech difference, frequencies? I think EU may have a frequency difference, but I don't know. I've never really looked. Tom, one of those questions regarding TrueNAS, are there any solutions like Synology app support like DS? TrueNAS, are there any solutions like on Synology with app support like DS files? I don't know what the question is here. Question is maybe because I mean TrueNAS supports like Docker. TrueNAS Scales specifically supports Docker. So yeah, pfSense all day, every day. With your experience you've ever had, use VLSM show up in a Cisco course? No, I don't know what that is. t- Had minor PTSD of upgrading through Cisco, realizing they need to be upgraded prior to having to go on site 3M rediscover manual. Had a tiny note that I'd missed. Oh, yeah, yeah. Mm. Token ring still powered on. That's a scary one. That's really old. What's your ideal target business for your managed services? Hi, also one of those paid consultants. Steve is great. So Steve is one of our network engineers. I think I just paid to BS with him at this point. That's great. Um, Anyone who needs us. A lot of our focus is not doing help desk. So people who need network engineers and storage engineers and people to manage all your Windows security, but you don't need us to fix your printers. We do a lot of co-managed work. So that co-managed is more our ideal, but we have help desk and we do some of that too. Help desk is just harder to scale because we get companies like, hey, can you take on our help desk? It's like we have to make sure we have enough people for it. Network engineering is a lot easier because it takes fewer people because the time suck is really talking to lots of people about their printer problems and things. Thanks for the great videos. Can pfSense support 50 to 100 VPN users? Yes. What probably did dedicated VPN? It's about bandwidth more than users. So does your hardware meet the bandwidth needs? Because maybe you have 50 users, but their bandwidth needs are low. Maybe you have a handful of users when their bandwidth needs are high. It really comes down to your bandwidth needs. A lot of times you got to start looking at what are other solutions to your bandwidth needs. Is it right to stuff everybody through a VPN as well? Or should the application be where it's handled? So authentication to an application to a cloud with some single sign-on service. We're seeing more and more services move to that and less people need VPNs as more cloud applications become available. Different way of handling it. EU uses different WLAN channels than the US. Maybe that's the difference. Interesting. pfSense captive portal for Wi-Fi. I think captive portal is an awful idea, no matter who does it. I don't know anyone who does it good. It just breaks things all the time. Linus needs a true IT department for MSP. Looking at systems, they too much shoot from the hip. I'd be willing to do IT for Linus. I don't know how to make that work. Linus, can I be your MSP? He's not watching this video. They have some pretty smart people there at Linus Tech Tips. Home virtual server build. Yes, I do plan on some new videos around that. I need to do some getting started with XCPNG videos soon. Are there open source web-based disk analyzer tools? Web-based disk analyzer. You can drill down files, folders. There is a tool out there. I forgot the name of it. That will allow you to do web file management. I actually think there's a app inside of here. What is it called? Oh crap! I hit the wrong button. File browser. This is actually something you can find in Docker. It's called File Browser. It's a Docker image. It'll do web-based management of files if that's what you're looking for. How much free space do you keep on your OS disk? Because data disk servers, both Windows and Linux servers, as much as needed. It's not an easy question to answer. Kind of because it depends on what your needs are. What are you going to load in the program side? Even if OpenSense is better, it isn't better to spend the time and money ripping out or dealing with firewalls when you cycle through Netgate. It was Fortinet or Sonic will be different. Yeah. Does pfSense Pro VT Nick? I don't know. Look to see if FreeBSD 14 supports it, and then you can go from there. Thank you for doing this. Very helpful. Just getting into this. Awesome. Did I hear right? Captive Portal asked the same question on Thursday. Captive Portal sucks. That's my answer every time. People bring Captive Portal all the time. Captive Portal's a headache. Anyone who wants Captive Portal has never had to do support for networks with Captive Portal. I've done a video on the pfSense one. It does work. Do you have a use case for Cloud S3? What do you recommend for cloud backup? Ooh, this is a fun one. I like Backblaze for backups. They're among the ones I use. And because this is in a spinny mode, let me go over here. Actually, yeah. But we do have, probably this system has it. Where is it at? Cloud Sync. This is one of them. We're doing Backblaze backup here. So Backblaze works rather well. They do S3 compatible for backup. So yeah, there's one of them I'd recommend is Backblaze. You can use the Amazon one as well. I just found Backblaze to be cost effective compared to Amazon. Ever use Cradlepoint for routers or maybe pfSense to play with LT module and appreciate channel? We have a couple people I think that have pfSenses and the secondary WAN has a Cradlepoint on it. File browser is super useful. Can you share the same TrueNAS dataset with both SMB and NFS so my Windows Linux can access it? Yes, but I don't think I'd recommend that. That seems like a bad idea. Use SMB with your Linux. That's how my mounts are in my system. Is I'm doing let's see, where does it go here? A window. But if you look, well, let's see. That's neat. How do I make this bigger? There you go. It's funny because it lined up perfectly when I shared the screen with what my screen had on it. But let me make this a little bigger here. Great. Now I hit the numlock button again. I got this new keyboard and I keep accidentally hitting the wrong keys. There. It's one of those mini keyboards and it's annoying. Anyways, here's all my devices, and let's stretch this out a little further so it's a little bit less wrapped. I guess I probably shrink it just a little. Looks a little better now. Anyways, here's all my mounts in Linux, and you notice these mounts are all done with SMB. This saves me the headache of doing NFS mixing with my Windows system that attaches to these two sometimes. Hello. All I say all the time is the time it is more than smart people, but don't dedicate the time. Yeah, Wasabi's another alternative. What about Wasabi? Backblaze B2 storage. Yes, I'm using Backblaze B2. 45 drive has cockpit modules you can install on Debian based systems. Yes, cockpit. I did a whole video on the 45 drives. Houston UI is what it's called. My video was within the last couple of weeks on that. Great tool. It is free and open source. Everything. Do you use Backblaze on your Synology units? No. Since Synology came out with C2, I really like it, and it's very reasonably priced. I like the integration with the C2 backups, so we're doing C2 backups for some of the Synologies. Thanks, Tommy. Very few people call me Tommy, so I had to highlight the comment. I don't mind. My name, I've been called Tommy, but just infrequently. I have a few family members that call me that. They've just always referred to me as Tommy instead of Tom. I'm fine with it. It just doesn't bother me. Like, most people ask what you want to be called, and I'm like, I don't know. Tom seems the shortest. But you can call me Thomas or Tommy, and I'll still answer to those. A lot of people call me Lawrence. It's my last name, but Larry, that goes a little outside. I won't answer to Larry. Many device network with Bluetooth? No. Zero notification. That damn YouTube people. They're just not good. For virtualization, iSCSI or NFS on TrueNAS, as if you recall, be mindful of cache async writes. NFS is more ideal. This keyboard is a Rocat. So hold on. I have a Rocat keyboard, but that's not the one I'm having trouble with. The Rocat keyboard has no problems at all. Make it bigger so it's easier to see. Can you see it? The cord isn't long enough. Rocat keyboard. But the little mechanical keyboard that I can't lift up because the cord's not long enough to get in front of the camera is some cheap gearhead keyboard. I just did it so I have a small keyboard here so I don't have to move that keyboard to this. I have two monitors on the system. The one that's the big monitors over here with the Rocat. This is just so I can type basic commands. C2 is reasonably priced. Yes. I was explicitly told not to call you that by my peers. Oh, referring to the Tommy thing. Lawrence of Networkia. I remember some guy in high school. It always rings in my head because his name was Tommy as well, and he liked to be called Tommy. I always went by Tom, but he used to always sing, and I just don't have a good context for it. But he called me Lawrence of Arabia, and I guess it's an old movie or something. But he always called me Lawrence of Arabia because he didn't want to call me by his name. He said. Also, that use storage seems shockingly is that not where you store most? Oh, that use storage is shocking. Is that where you not? Yeah, actually, where's where I store a lot of my videos, and um, I just prune everything. I figure out what I want to keep, and I just purge some of it. Like I keep all my finished final videos, so if something were to happen, I'll re-upload them. But rarely do I need to keep the source footage for those videos. If there's a lot of B-roll that might be used again, I'll keep that. But the source for example, if I did a pfSense tutorial and I edit it down to a more concise because I've cut out some parts that were, systems loading or mistakes made or things I said and trimmed out, I don't have any value in that source. So because I throw away so much source, I'm just not using as much data as I expected to use running a YouTube channel that has as many videos as I have. Running a network issue with Linux file servers are a way to share only one folder inside of that, have several subfolders, separated compartments, give us group access between compartments. You can share in Samba subfolders, but honestly, use something that has permissions management like TrueNAS, because that is how you solve that problem. I'm going to do something fun. This is called Hollywood. You'll understand why. So now I look like I'm hacking. I think. Oh, why did it stop updating? That's weird. There we go. I clicked the wrong thing. So now it can look like I'm hacking while we're talking here. Because why not? Thomas is a Hellenization of the Hebrew word for twin, a nickname that could be referenced to. That's interesting. Huh. Only Bluetooth network is Primex clocks. Every other bounce signal works really well. Oh, okay. Interesting. Us IT folks are jack of all traders. Tom, what's your lead tech skill? Linux? I don't know. Networking, Linux, storage servers. I've been doing this since my first job was in the 90s, to give you how long I've been doing this stuff at a professional level. So Peter O'Toole, Lawrence of Arabia. Okay, I'll look that up. Hollywood hacking, man. It's a tool you can like install in Debian-based distributions, probably others too. Apt-get install Hollywood. It's the Hollywood hacker thing, right? On keyboards, I use a Logitech MX keys for work, Corsair K70 for pro gaming. Yeah, I've never seen the film. Never seen Lawrence of Arabia, so not one of the ones I've seen. I see a few people commenting, and so far no one has and I'm referring to the Cisco video I released already. I only released it the same time I started the live stream, so it's been out for an hour, has 1,100 views so far. Cisco is an embarrassment. That's one of the top comments. Let's do this. Let's read comments together, because you guys can read my YouTube comments with me, because that'd be more fun, right? YouTube comments are always lots of fun, by the way. Not always for the right reasons. Present, share screen. Let's see what some of these comments are. This is my video title. I don't do clickbait, guys. The video title is, I failed to get any devices working. Am I wrong about how bad the Cisco dashboard is? Cisco is an embarrassment. I work with this stuff, CCNP. It's just not worth the money, and it's all bugs and marketing. I got a few APs working on this product over a year ago. Had 5 tickets on bugs that the AP's controllers had an adoption alone. I didn't have a switch to test, but I had a router that was supported and also had a bug that got semi-fixed. Before a full fix was released, they end of life the router. I ended up pulling the gear and the controller out. Find it was a complete pile of garbage, almost never worked, so it's not shocking that it's all just this bad. I struggled with some time for months, put it aside also. I like the business products and the CBS have a few deployed. So see, this is my feelings. Like I've seen some of these work, but these are the comments people are giving me on it. And it sounds like they're, you know, uh, it's not just me. And that's why I couldn't even find friends of mine that had anything nice to say about the Cisco stuff. So there, what a mess. Bluetooth clocks sold the Cisco kit. Yeah. Could you do an explanation of the proper way to set up a DNS and pfSense on port 853, the secure DNS? I don't use it, so I don't know that I will. I don't really think I don't have much of a use case for it. Questions about APs with mesh. When you connect to a switch, will they do wireless mesh or are they smart with the access point in a switch? How's the meshing works? It depends. That varies by company to company. If you're doing UniFi mesh, they have it essentially set up, provided you have the checkbox on for meshing. UniFi do it mostly automatically. It's a rare group of us who lived through Y2K and COVID. Oh, yes, we've now lived through both. Cisco is rough to use sometimes. Good morning. How's that new motorcycle? That's the first question there. From all the way from Australia. I seen the pictures on Twitter of your new bike. I wish it wasn't so mushy outside. It's been raining here. It's like mud season here. So, hello, Alexandru. But yeah, it's mud season here. Motorcycling is one of my hobbies too, but you got to have things so it's not just mud. Here, actually, everything's just gray and muddy outside. Like this is all mud. My backyard is just so wet right now. It's just nonstop rain, days of rain. So it's nothing great. Motocross, awesome. We haven't had the sun in 84 years. We were swapping out tons of Cisco ASO. FortiGate's almost as good as Palo Alto, but still fun. FortiGate had a really dumb incident recently. Read their latest security incident where they were slow to patch and knew things were under exploit. I'm fuzzy on what went wrong there, but it's a good read. And Fortinet just is kind of like no comment on it. We haven't had the sun in 84 years here in Michigan. Yeah, something like that. And we don't need to look at my muddy backyard anymore. Oh, you're up in Muskegon. Same thing. Yep. Don't understand your problems with Cisco, guys. Just don't use in small business. Yeah. Have a CBS 350 24 port core switch with UniFi access points work nicely. Yeah, you're probably right about this. And my testing with the switch seemed to be fine. Like I don't think the switches are bad, and they probably work fine. I've tested with my UniFi. They worked with my UniFi when I did the testing. So, what ones are you trying to use dashboard on? I just played some and can try myself. Was my LinkedIn message UniFi helpful? Yes, I went through that I read through that. I got to look through it a little bit more detail, but yeah, I may do a video because the question comes up so often about VLAN hopping, and Andrew actually had messaged me, some articles on the topic. Now you can't do that with UniFi. You can do that with some of the other switches, but there's a lot of confusion around people thinking that about VLAN security. People get it wrong a lot, so that's the big thing. Their SSL VPN exploit recently. Yep, that's the one. Now, FortiGate has had a terrible security track record. Like they've just done some dumb security things over the years. They've survived it and hopefully refactored their code. They've had so many, like their magic backdoor. That was like the whole read, what led up to that is just so many stupid things happening. You you almost would believe it was malicious, it was so stupid, but it was just stupid. It wasn't malicious, it was just poorly handled by FortiGate. They had a magic backdoor that allowed you to get into people's VPNs because they accidentally goofed up the code because some client had them write a backdoor into it. Like, their debrief on it was face palming. They didn't have one incident, they've had 3. They've had plenty of them. Sofa 6G getting put by the side for pfSense again. What camera do I use? For if you're asking, Amcrest is the outdoor cameras. I have videos on the Amcrest cameras. Do you do stuff like dynamic routing or BGP or VXLAN? We don't really do much of that. It's used a lot like the data centers. I mean, we do some, but it's not enough. Then it's probably not worth doing a video on. I don't think it'd get any views if I did. To add, I also have 16 and 8-port UniFi switches hanging off the Cisco. Yeah, cool. How to pfSense to a WireGuard server? I'll use a WireGuard server's IP to see my pfSense server. I don't understand the question. Probably that's a better post in my forums. Just installed Hollywood VM on the laptop. That's awesome. I really should put that back up. I was waiting for the Switch Enterprise PoE 24, but it seems like they're never available. That's true. Availability is still a challenge here in 2023. Is there a switch you recommend that can do the same job as this one for the 2.5 gig WAN? Not by UniFi is part of the problem. So I don't think there's a replacement UniFi switch for that. Also, I don't always understand why people like 2.5 gig. It's not something that gets me excited. I just go to 10 gig because 10 gig's cheap and 10 gig switches are really available. So I try to look at the use case and go, why not just go 10? 10 gig is not that expensive. I've been using an SG350 10MP. Got it for free from work. That is a great price you have on that. Hard time keeping up with dashboards. Yes. Sir, a DOJ vendor certified list, not to my knowledge. But if you're looking for ones that are on the not China list, that's pretty much access cameras. This is one of those things. People ask about this. This is a common question. So AXIS. A common question is, I don't want one of them Chinese vendor cameras. I need some, an American camera company. And literally people have just asked us that. So let me pull up some of the pricing on access cameras. There we go. Let me share this screen. Because this is where people want them until they see the price on them. And this isn't too bad. Access dome camera for like $300 here. Bullet one for $455. But when we do like a 20 or 30 camera deployment, it starts with, hey, I'll take by the way, 2 megapixel here for this one. When you want some of their higher end cameras, they're not in the same price range as Amcrest. So people start out with wanting the camera that's, US made and everything else. They see the price and they go, never mind. I guess I don't need it. Because, we just did like another 20 I think 10 or 15, 20 cameras we quoted for someone. Like, it's not like it's $200 more, just $200 more. It's 200 times 10. And it's about whether or not you want to actually do that. I'm now regretting buying a FortiGate FGT 200. What else can replace Cisco ASA? I would say pfSense. Have you recommend sending email through pfSense? HTTP proxy packet filter? pfSense, what does it have to do with email? I don't understand what your email has to do with pfSense. I send my emails through Gmail, so or Office 365 with a lot of our clients. pfSense doesn't really play a factor other than routing the traffic. We love GeoVision. Not sure where they're from. China, as far as I know. Is a dummy camera an option? Yeah. Sorry, DoD. I figured you meant DoD. I said DOJ, but you probably did mean DoD. Point is, with security issues, vendors like FortiGate should be pressured more. I see Netgate has a few defense case studies. Yes. pfSense relay package? Yeah, I'm not sure. UniFi aggregation switch, 10 gig. What's a good 10 gig switch? 10 gig SFP versus RJ45. The UniFi switches, where are they at here? Switching. The UniFi switches, I think, are pretty reasonable. They have, let me find one of their 10 gig ones. They have this 10 gig one for like $5.99. And then they have the switch aggregation right here, which is really cheap at only $269. So those are good ones that I think are good. Since you're exploring different deals, self-hosted, centralized management on topic is, and the topic is FortiGate, would you be interested in exploring FortiManager? Nope. No interest in FortiManager. Yeah, I'm familiar with the product. I have a few friends with MSPs that are all in on Fortinet. So I'm familiar with them, but Fortinet has their own marketing team. There's nothing about it that's interesting. Their licensing, and I just don't like their product line that much. Their licensing is not, I guess it's okay, but not interested in it. Like if I did a video, if Fortinet wanted to sponsor a video, I might consider it. Because like I said, they've cleaned up their act to some extent, but I don't need to advertise their product. It's not like it's something home users would use. It's not like something home labs would use. And it's not, I know the business is using it. You get all your FortiGate training on it. So TP-Link over Netgear for home use. TP-Link, I don't feel like they have the best security. How do you like the UniFi LTE light switches? Are they rack mountable L2? Yeah, I've used a couple of the light ones. They seem to work. FortiManager is great if you're already in our ecosystem. Also agree on the 10 gig aggregation. Awesome price for 10 gig UniFi. Yes. Thanks for the answers. Hey, have a good evening. It must mean you're in Europe. Pro aggregation is 24, 10 gigs, few extras. Licensing is too expensive for home. You can get a 60 for $200 on eBay, though. Yeah. Sorry, it's unclear. I want to host an email server behind pfSense. Not sure how you route email traffic to the server. You just set your mail records to point towards the public IP address. I don't recommend hosting mail servers, though. It's the problem. Getting email is one thing. You get your MX records right, and you can get email to work. And I thought about talking about how email works because I think it's almost a lost art. And I was a mail server admin for years. I used SendMail. I used Postfix. I even did some Exchange management. I hated Exchange more than all things. I fixed people's Exchange. I never wanted to take it as a contract. I just thought it was broken, terrible product. But the bigger challenge is getting email out. I may do some video where I just talk about it from a large overview of how it works, but it's not something I really recommend doing. It is certainly not recommended for businesses because it's just not worth trying to host it yourself. I went to power my UniFi AP. It has a 2.5 gig with PoE 10 gig switch. Non-PoE, can you use regular PoE adapter? You can just use an injector. If you don't have one that's PoE, just use an injector. Oh yeah, on-prem Exchange is indefensible. That's the word I like to describe it. Microsoft does not care about security for Exchange. It's your problem. And your problem is you'll learn that all of a sudden there's proxy shells Oh my gosh, all these people opening shells without credentials. How did that happen? Oh, wait, was Microsoft told about this? Yeah. Did Microsoft get around to a patch? Sure, eventually, after everyone like got owned. Microsoft doesn't care about security because if you don't use Exchange and you're embedded in a Microsoft ecosystem, you go to their cloud platform. Why would they care about Exchange? If you don't understand SPF, DMARC, and DKIM, just don't run a mail server. I used to get consulting gigs for fixing relay mail servers. Who remembers all the servers that people wouldn't configure properly and would be relays for everybody's mail, and spammers would discover them and start using them. I can't even SMTP if I use direct send to a spam house block list. Now modern auth isn't working. SMTP is a nightmare with Office 365 now. It is. You can use like Mailhop. I think it's called Mailhop. Mailgun, Mailhop are two companies that offer like SMTP service. These days, just let the FBI fix the on-prem exchange. Yep. Just purchase 40 EDR for a small business. We'll see how it goes using a reseller that includes setup rules, etc. Yeah. Exchange is best when you do offensive security. It just makes your day so much easier. Yes, you're like, oh, because if someone's running an Exchange server, they rarely have it patched. The people running Exchange are so often people who, I don't know, they have some aversion to putting it in the cloud because they don't want to spend the money. They're usually an understaffed IT department responsible for handling a bunch of Exchange servers, and no one's like, I don't know, we just don't want to touch it. We're happy when it boots. Oh crap, patching. What's a better solution than M365? In my opinion, G Suite. That's why we use G Suite. It's a better solution than Office 365. Oh, yeah. Exchange. My favorite part was like the proxy nutshell is not only does it take a long time, sometimes it doesn't take, but it says it took. So you'd end up with a patch status of patched, but an actual status of not patched. Uh, see. Azure moved to Graph and new setup for it. You need to read up on the new setup. Yeah, Google's been trying to deprecate the what they call it, less secure apps, but Google's trying to deprecate it. It's not the same as actually getting it deprecated. Because I think it was just before 2020, like in 2019, they announced it. They keep kicking it down because they know everything's going to break when they get rid of SMTP. So ever use something like Fastmail or Namecheap email? Not really. I've seen people using it. I mean, it probably works fine. It's just not something I really run into testing. Are you getting the dream wall for testing? Look, I already have one unified disappointment machine. I don't know that I need some other weird thing that they have. It's not really on high on my priority list. I don't know. Maybe enough people might ask about it. The thing with UniFi, it all comes down to their software. Are they going to put better software together for their routers? They're making improvements on it. It's just going slow. What about Zoho Mail? I don't know. I've seen a lot of people ask about it. Aren't they the ones though? They had all those um see security incident. Wasn't this is it Zoho? Look it up real quick. Maybe I'm conflating their name with something else. I oh okay here. Yeah, it is. Okay, it was Zoho. FinTech furnace suffered data breach due to critical Zoho flaw. Um, there's been a few flaws in the Zoho system, so it's like anything else. It's about keeping it up and keeping it patched and everything else. So, I guess if you're really on top of it, awesome. As much as I like to be on top of things, I don't feel I could stay on top of a public facing mail server. There's a reason, despite my years of experience and all the management I do for mail, that I don't want to host it anymore. Any cards to avoid? Just go Intel. Intel is so cheap for 10 gig right now. Just go for it. Can G Suite integrate with AD? I think so. I never integrate it with AD. Most of the time when people are using G Suite, they don't have any interest in AD because they're doing single sign-on through all their G Suite and connecting all the apps that way. But I'm pretty sure there's a connection you can do between AD and G Suite. Dreamwall be good. Outbuilding rental where you want to lock it away in a closet. Yeah, there's been a handful of times I've seen Zoho be the source of attack because it's like anything else. You have to patch it. And sometimes people are not just looking for an alternative, they're looking for something they don't have to pay for. Then they don't end up having any support for getting things patched. What ZFS room? 8 4 terabyte drives, currently 6 4 terabyte drives. RAID Z2, but want to get rid of it. Any tips on how to migrate without copying all the stuff in our storage? No, there's no tips for doing that. My layout, Z2, 8 drives in Z2. Greetings. How do you stream so early? It's not early for me. It is 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time right now. SAML ADFS. Yeah, that I think is another way to do that. Bought UDM Pro to replace client using UXGs are on Optimium. Yeah, but I wouldn't want a USG. I wouldn't put any of those for clients. You can connect the two, but it's annoying. I don't have much experience doing it, but my staff does. I think Steve, who we brought up earlier, has done a few of them. So, hey Tom, any network documentation tool you use? Yeah, we sit down and write it all down in a wiki. We document networks, put them in wiki, put them in spreadsheets. One of these days, maybe sooner than later, I'll set up Netbox, but that's not today. Now, yeah, G Suite, typical for educational environments, tied to Active Directory. G Suite is free for education. Yes, G Suite is dominating the education environments. They kind of got the drop on Microsoft for being better at it. Okta is another option. Yeah, Okta will glue all kinds of things together for authentication. So Okta is definitely another option to consider. Let's see. How long should this stream go for? Do people have more questions? I didn't really have any particular topics. I just figured I would jump in a live stream and see what happens. My wife is working until 3:00 today, right above my head. So I have until then before she'll come down here and be like, "Hey, we should go somewhere." um, Risky Business did probably the best debrief on the Okta stuff because they interviewed them. I thought it was good. I don't know that it would tell me that it made me think Okta had a hard time because Okta was not really being obtuse or obscuring things. Okta was dealing with disinformation from a bunch of kids. So it became very confusing. And comes out of, you can find the Risky Business Okta interview with one of their execs. The challenge with Okta was a fun one because the guy was very frank. He says, we have playbooks for dealing with security incidents. We have playbooks for dealing with how they got in and what we need to do to debrief it. We didn't have a playbook for a threat actor that simply made things up as they went along and started like lying about what they had access to. And it became this weird like misinformation. And they admitted, they said they weren't sure what to do. So yeah, that caused them to kind of trip up their security process. A while back, you made a video about software in business. Is there a more recent forum posts about the current stack? Yes. I did it like 6 months ago, and not much has changed in 6 months. You can find it. It's probably called Tools We Use. We go here to content. Let's see, what did I title that? Here we go. April 2022. So it's a year old. So here's the video you're asking about, and I'll throw a link in here for it. But it's the, we'll zoom in and make it easier to read. Ninja One, Huntress, Sentinel One, and the IT MSP business tools we use. There's a forum post that's the same title. For a small business running XCP, you recommend support for Zen Orchestra or both? Yes, both. At the minimum, Zen Orchestra. So I would recommend people get support for Zen Orchestra. VPN site to site between two pfSense boxes. I would say using, and let me give you the why. I would say using WireGuard is ideal. And I use, here's my WireGuard, and 37 gigs of data has pushed across this, and it's working fine. Our office is connected via WireGuard. My phone connects via WireGuard. I like WireGuard a lot for site to site. Oh yeah, the endless debate of that. Yeah, I don't know, people, I mean, if you want something that just bugs you with updates all the time, awesome. But I will tell you right now, Travis can answer this. Travis, would you want the firewalls to update all the time and then have to manage all those updates? Or is it more concise the way we have in pfSense where, even this can be a challenge because especially with unmanaged clients, making sure all the pfSense are on the same version. If you had something that updated, I don't know, twice a month, that would be even harder to handle all the updates. So I don't think updates for the sake of updates is fun. Yeah. Cloud managed door access. I got no recommendations for that. Is Citrix still involved in Zen? Not really. Citrix is not really done any of that. They kind of screwed up bad and got forked is what happened. Like Citrix was the steward of the Zen project. Citrix screwed up, ruined the community. The team at Vates took it over, and XCP-NG has been going forward, which is Zen-based, and it's been awesome. Have you used and tested Ingenious? I have a review of Ingenious. I've reviewed one of their switches in their cloud system. Their cloud system is not great. Their switches are poorly documented, but work. Talking about Citrix, is many businesses still using this for remote desktop environment? Is it dying? Oh, it's very well used. Every time there's been a security problem, we get to learn just how many people still use it. That's still their bread and butter, is like the Citrix apps and things like that. I wouldn't recommend it to anyone, but there's a lot of people, legacy, enterprise, large scale deployments of this out there everywhere. Are you going to make videos about Omada Meraki? Nope. I made one about, not Meraki, MikroTik. I said that wrong. I made a video about MikroTik. It's not my field of expertise. There's other YouTube channels that do it. I'll let them keep doing it because I don't use it enough to make videos on it. Just started a business. What Linux tools use run from admin operations, monitoring, and getting paid. What Linux tools for getting paid? I don't understand that question. Monitoring, Zabbix is cool. So hopefully that helps. I use Invoice Ninja. I guess if that's not really a Linux tool, but it is open source. Have you tried out Sophos XG? Nope, no interest in that. Sophos UTM. I just don't really care much about the Sophos stuff. It doesn't have anything compelling that makes me want to use it. Yeah, Citrix just nuked the entire group there. They just went off the rails, and that was it. Like, they did a license update that removed features. Can Synology Active Backup use a storage target other than the local array? Can I point it at my TrueNAS? I don't think so. Is backing up the whole Bitwarden data folder sync thing good, or only SQL nightly MSQ backups, Bitwarden? You can I would just back up the nightly backups. Brevo is cloud manager or access. Cool. I've never used it, but Marcus says Brevo. BRIVO. One of our hospitals we support still uses Citrix. Hopefully it's patched and up to date. How would you replace Citrix VDI? I don't have a replacement for Citrix VDI. If you need Citrix VDI, go with their VDI. What's replacing it really comes down to cloud apps. Things are getting rewritten to the cloud apps, and people don't need these stupid virtual desktop environments. Virtual desktop environments are a band-aid until some app, there's enough market pressure to have something better, or that app gets rewritten into a cloud interface. VDIs are just like temporary messes, in my opinion. Sophos, I think, exiting the firewall market for years, they made a bunch of people redundant. Updated Zabbix video on my to-do list. It just takes a long time to do those videos. Zabbix is so complicated is the headache. It makes the videos super long, which means it takes lots of my time to put it all together. Yeah, I agree with what Travis is saying here. Now, what you can do is take the Synology like he's saying here. You can take the Synology, do active backup, and then back up your active backup to another target. I have seen a tutorial selling pfSense on Sophos XG. Well, Sophos XG are just x86 firewalls, so that's easy enough. One day I'll get the Zabbix getting started video. It's on my to-do list, far from my done list. I work in hospitals, VDR sisters, Citrix servers, all out of date, all the time. Oh yeah, if you think Zabbix, try out is Cigna. I've heard of it. I've not used it. Zabbix just has a strange way of handling things. But more and more things are moving towards web apps. That's going to be, yeah. Have pfSense running on an XG230 Rev 2 unit. They're just, you can also, WatchGuard, I think, has some x86 boxes. So it's popular to put pfSense on some of the WatchGuard devices as well. Is XCBD moving away from CentOS base? When they need to, they will. They don't need to right now. This is where me and Jay just talked about distro versus appliance. And because the team at Vates is curating the kernel and everything within there, they're keeping it patched because they're managing the whole instance of it. So it's not like they're under the gun to get that fixed because they're bringing in anything relevant and handling all the patches for it. Making a video about Ansible playbook to deploy Graylog 5. Yeah, Jay hasn't got it done either. I've talked to Jay about it. I think he ran into some problems too. I actually, and I think this came up on my live stream, we might just do a Graylog Docker video instead, or I might do one because I don't think the documentation is all that correct. Or as of the time of this video, in case you're watching this in the future, someone pointed out the documentation wasn't correct. I know when I tried to do an in-place upgrade, it broke. And I don't know. I've definitely had some. I'm still running Graylog 4 because I just haven't gotten back to doing 5. It's on my to-do list, but once again, not on my done list. I wasted 2 evenings at Cydia and even used to check MK. GIPL. What is GIPL? I've never heard of it. And Google didn't help. Nope. And I don't know what this is. So I don't know what that tool is you're talking about. Because Google didn't find it. XE is probably going to move to Alma Rocky. True. That is, they're looking at alternatives. So That was me. I have a different name in the forums. Documentation claims OpenSearch 2x is supported, but that's not my experience. Okay, yeah. So there's some, yeah. Probably means GLPI, Open Source Asset Management System. Oh, okay. Jay's got some great Ansible tutorials. Well, Rocky can replace CentOS. It doesn't mean it will replace CentOS. Will there be a Linux version of pfSense? No. There will not be, because Linux won't run pfFilter, and I doubt anyone's going to rewrite all the underlying things to work in Linux. pfFilter is not is what pfSense is based on. That's the pf and pfSense, and it's exclusive to BSD. I doubt anyone. There's no roadmap that puts them on the Linux path at all. Using Graylog latest release, but they are recommending moving from Elastic. That's what I want to try, is not using Elastic, but using it with OpenSearch. And that's where someone had commented of the problem. Use OpenSearch 1.34. That one worked with Graylog 5 on Debian 11. And then maybe that's what I was missing. I only played a little bit. I was breaking the Mongo part of it. So I will work on maybe a new video, because Graylog I use a lot. So that I like doing a video on. Everyone talks like CentOS is dead. CentOS alive and kicking. I use it for OpenStack nodes in my home lab, and it's great. CentOS, the older versions. I know is it called CentOS Stream? Am I got the name right? I don't do much with anything that's based on Red Hat. The closer you get to Linux and pfSense is TNSR. Command line only, router appliances, only limited firewall functionality. Yeah, the TNSR platform is very different, but it's, a Linux routing. There's also BIOS and things like that. Palo Alto does run on FreeBSD. MongoDB upgrades can be painful if you're pretty far behind. I had to step through 4 or 5 point upgrades before I was done. Rocky is, my opinion, the only choice. They've done some questionable advertising on Google. Yeah, that happens. People buy each other's ads. Have you seen a new solid state active cooling? I tweeted about it. I don't know. Interesting. It depends on how affordable they are. Oh, just want to thank you, Thursday. You put me on Uptime Kuma. Never heard it before, but fit the bill for system monitoring. Shiny never hurts. I think Uptime Kuma is just awesome. It's just such a neat tool. Where did it go? There we go. Yay, Bitwarden. It's down. It's actually up. It just has I just put it in maintenance because I encrypted it on boot. It doesn't boot after a backup. It's booted up now, but I has to have a password typed in. But yeah, you can see what's up, what's down. Uptime Kuma is pretty slick. What VPN protocols do you recommend you use? Most options I see are Ike. I like using WireGuard. That question doesn't have much context. Red Hat 4 back in school. Yeah, Red Hat 4 is a long time ago. Will there be an OpenBSD at pfSense? This pfSense is based on very old BSD 12. You are mistaken. It was based on FreeBSD version 12, which is reaching an older version, but it's not 12. You're wrong about it being 12 years old. That is incorrect. And they're moving to the beta release candidates are based on FreeBSD 14. So you are wrong. There's so many new things in OpenBSD now. That I know of, they're not moving. They're still on FreeBSD. FreeBSD is still being supported, is still being developed. I've been trying to get Uptime Kuma in my Kubernetes cluster, and I'm having a terrible time with DNS resolution. I have to use IPs for everything. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not the Kubernetes guy. I don't really use Kubernetes. So, any experience with checkmark monitoring? No. Never used it. Some people like it because that got brought up before, but it's not something I use. So, I'm just curious now. Share this tab instead. When was FreeBSD 12 released? FreeBSD 12 was released in 2018. So here's the Wikipedia entry on that. So 12, well, then they were based on like 12.1, so, or 12 point something. I don't remember which exact version. Anyways, pfSense is now moving to version 14 anyway, so that kind of doesn't matter. Yes, PF Blocker 3.10.11 is out. Correct. I have it running with Apprise notifications sent to Signal. Check MK is amazing. You can also send your Uptime Kuma to Signal, in case anyone's wondering. That is one of the options. One of those things you can do. What else? What else? What else? What else? Was there? Man, there's so many different things I'm testing. Here's one of them that someone brought this up earlier, talking about like Portainer. I do have one Portainer set up right here that we can log into. I don't know if I'm going to do Portainer videos, but if you're looking for a cool project to manage your Docker stuff, Portainer is great. I definitely would recommend it as something to play with. pfSense devs might be scared of the version 13. Yeah. Blows my mind that Berkeley still hoards public IPv4s. They should start an MSP. Docker Compose stacks in Portainer are great. Yes. I'm mixed mode excited. I'm expecting a new server today, but the last scam with FedEx was a state away at 2:14 a.m., so it might not come today. Oh, that's too bad. I always hate when things are so close, but not quite here. They're like almost here. Is there any new YouTube comments? No, no one's saying anything else. Yeah. Let's see. What else did I have? But there's something else I wanted to mention. Would love to have a how-to video upgrading TrueNAS plugins and base OS. There's not a video for it because you just do the TrueNAS upgrades. So I don't know. And by the way, I don't even with the jails. I'm done doing videos on it because for the most part, I really feel TrueNAS is dropping support for the jails. Like I don't think there's many developers working on it. I think it's a dead technology. Like it's on life support. It's not gone, but I wouldn't build anything new on a jail. I'm using a couple jails because I know how to maintain them, but I wouldn't recommend people starting out to use them. So I'd recommend getting and moving away from them. Thanks for the content as ever. Good evening from the UK. That's right. Is it evening there already? Yeah, you guys are a few hours ahead. Few hours ahead. What else were you going to pull up? I got to start. I had too many tabs open. I still have this one open. The pink. I don't know if I should do a dedicated review on it, but boy, it's just a cool label maker. Is it still crappy outside? The answer is yes. I haven't left the house today. I've been working in my basement all day in the studio. Because I do plan to leave at some point in time, but that's not this point in time. 2026 in CET, 23, 25 in Dubai. Okay. Do you have any videos on firewall rules for IPv6? Nope. Uh, you are correct that, yeah, each has a public route. Well, they're not, they can be publicly routable. It's a different topic. And I'm not dealing with, I just don't feel like doing videos on IPv6. I'll just say that. It's a headache. Linus like that, Leo Maker. Do I have experience with Threat Locker? Yes. Not directly, indirect experience. Indirect because I have MSP friends that have used it and dropped it. It works. This is my understanding from other MSPs I've talked to that use it. They said it works in homogenized environments with very few applications. The moment you have a bunch of applications that, especially line of business applications that your clients have, it's just too much of a pain and doesn't work. That seems to be from more than one person has told me that. One of them was specifically because I have a few accounting companies, and we were talking about like accounting software. And he said, no matter how many times they waitlisted in Threat Locker, every update to the accounting software broke. So that was, but they said they have another client that has like a very cookie cutter. They use Word. They use like the most basic tools and know all their line of business applications are web. Threat Locker works great because they don't have any applications. So take it for what it's worth. You need one video on IPv6. I've really thought about making that video too. I won't lie. Have I worked with Galactic Advisors? I know people that work there, but I've never used their product. I think the people working there are nice because I was at actually two different hacking events where I knew people that worked there. So the people there seem nice. I've never used the product, so I have no opinion on the product, but at least I like some people. I'll probably upgrade from core to scale at some point. I use Plex. Yep. Portainer is awesome. Still trying to figure out why they didn't just build Portainer into scale. I have no idea. You nailed it right there. Why didn't they just build Portainer into scale and save themselves a lot of headache? I completely agree with you. Zero trust, my favorite marketing buzzword. There are a few firewalls included with PSD, IPF, WPF, and IP filter. Please do videos on IPv6. Yeah, I don't know. It's low on my priority list. Like if I got everything else I want to get done, I'll do a video on IPv6. I brought Thinbot after you last mentioned it, labeled my servers and host name, added labels, 10G cables, and cable nodes. It's quirky but nice. That's not, those are the words I'll use if I do a review on it. Use it with OpenSense, get it to work with 5 switches. Huh. Oh, IPv6, yeah. Neither my home or office support IPv6. Do you support HIPAA compliant organizations? Yes. Pulling my hairs out, setting up free IP or free ADS and cert clients. Good luck with that. Threat Locker requires far too much manual intervention for me. And like I said, this is the same thing. Threat Locker is a commercial software, for those of you not familiar, to lock down applications on the systems. And yeah, it just, it's one of those things like if it creates too much management for you, then it's not, and your clients have a diverse ecosystem of software, it's just not going to work. Or at least I haven't seen it working according to every MSP I've talked to that's used it. Install PF Blocker and G, IP feeds and section didn't show up. Install develop version. Yeah, use the devil version. I forget why they haven't gotten rid of the old one. You want to be using the latest devil version, DEVEL version. So let me show you. Right here's my PF Blocker. Well, I'll go into system package manager. But yeah, make sure you're using this one here or you won't get it. You won't have the right one. So PF Blocker Devil is the next generation one. I think they need to get rid of the other one. I forget. There's some process, and I'm not sure what it is they need to do to get that gone. I don't know the details. Once a client gets ransom, it's easy to sell. No, it's not. If if you sell it to a client who constantly can't get their job done, it's kind of the same thing. Like it's easy for them to get really angry at you because they every time they try to launch their accounting app, it doesn't work. And then all of a sudden, people are trying to process taxes with people sitting around, and the update broke all the instances because you're using a tool that locked it down too much. So no, it's not just an easy sell. Let's see. ThreatLocker have worked well, but then some even known companies like Acronis and their software update just didn't work. Yeah. Do you deal with any PCI compliance work? Yes. And also add on to that CMMC compliance. That's our latest thing we're dealing with. So CMMC, I have I don't know it because I don't have to, but I have people that do know it. Matter of fact, Brett, who you know from doing a lot of business management, Brett now knows, and just went to a big training event for 3 days on that particular topic. We don't support Mac OS, so that's somebody else's problem. We don't have a favorite RMM for Mac OS. I think they're building support with Ninja for it, but I don't like supporting Mac. What do you think about DVR systems? Do you make a video about that? I do. I make them about Synologies because we use them, and I make some about the UniFi ones because we use them. The other ones, I've not like we actually. I can't say we don't use other ones. ExactVision. We have some clients that have ExactVision systems. I'm not going to make a video about it. It's a big commercial, expensive product. I don't know what the interest would be in a video for it. Why does anyone? It's just sometimes a headache that breaks things. There's been devices that just don't work with it. It became a debate, I think, in my forums, and someone's going, "Why don't you ask for the vendors for an update?" You're like, because vendor updates sometimes don't come, and if you disable IPv6, things start working, and you just kind of move on with your day. Brett knows all the things with CMMC now. Yeah, no one likes supporting Mac. We have so few people that use Mac. It's just I don't know. I don't see the big demand for it. It's in certain niche markets. We rolled out Huntress to 90% of our fleet and found nothing. Is this typical? That depends. Do you have clients with dirty computers? Huntress, this is where people get so confused with Huntress. They assume it needs to make noise to be working. It turns out they are really, really, really the best in the business. I can't name another company that has a lower false positive rate than Huntress that works in security. Huntress doesn't have false positives is almost a true statement. I haven't had any, but I have a post on LinkedIn I'll dig up. Huntress's false positive rate is in the like low 1%. So yes, it's typical unless you have a disastrous network you're putting it on. So good news, you must have a clean network if Huntress didn't find something. Travis is a resident Apple fan at a shop. He doesn't even want to, and he doesn't want to support Macs. Yeah. I can confirm that data ORM on Mac is awful. Half the features don't work as intended. You said Adigy has a painless interface for supporting Mac. All right. Recommended AV IPS. We use Sentinel-1 combined with Huntress. I was banging my head against the wall with the other IPv6, getting around the firewall rules and disable IPv6 routing. Yeah, you're probably opening up a whole new threat surface too. That's another thing. If you want to reduce your threat surface, reduce the ability for things to potentially route or go around your firewall that may or may not be good at IPv6. Turning it off, you're reducing. Reducing threat surface is all about turning off anything you don't need, all the services you don't need. So there we go. There's another reason not to use IPv6. I like that Huntress monitors all the process. I'm doing a video soon on diving into process monitoring with them. Yes. I don't understand why people use Macs. Decent battery, better than that. They have too many. Oh, I don't know. I'm not the biggest. I don't hate on Macs. I think they got really nice hardware. Um, we use S1 Complete. Late to the vid. Hope your weekend is going well. My weekend is going well. To all those systems deploy new servers without disabling IPv6. Yeah, I mean, there's one of my other arguments. Here's how you can reduce your threat surface. We'll turn off IPv6. I gotta admit, like for home users, I think the Apple ecosystem is very complete. Like it creates a nice homogenized, it all just works type of ecosystem for home users. I think that's something that may be really beneficial, like the way they synchronize all the messages and your one Apple ID for all the things. And that's kind of the nature of one company owns the stack from the hardware, the software, the phone, all the different ancillary things into one thing can be very helpful. Your TV, your Apple TV combined with your Apple phone and your Apple whatever tablets and things like that. So um I don't care much about 2.5 gig. I don't really the price they're too new, so prices are going to be expensive on them. But why not just go 10 gig? Why do you need 2.5 gig? That's the part that always confuses me. Just go 10. 10's cheaper than 2.5 very frequently. Mac is mainly for creative content, which really isn't your niche. Minimal IT needs, storage device, printers, and it's kind of used to be the creatives, like I would say, used to be exclusive, but we're seeing more and more places editing, big editing companies. They just don't use Mac anymore. So that's the thing. My problem with S1 and CrowdStrike, it's hard to get licenses for small business. Um, I mean, buying direct, maybe that's why it's how companies delegate things. Like it's hard for a company to do a bunch of direct support. So they usually reseller right here. They usually use resellers like me to help mitigate the amount of support it takes to get the product out there. Because the reality is, these small businesses have less experienced IT people managing it. Therefore, they have way more questions than the larger businesses. Usually, there's always going to be some exception to that. Resellers kind of help fill that gap. It's just kind of the nature of things. Support's expensive. Do you already use XCPNG 8.3? I might upgrade to it this weekend. I've been debating about it. I don't think it's out yet. I think we're still on version. As far as I know, they haven't released it. It's going to be released soon. Yeah, 8.2 is current, but the beta is out for 8.3, and I might load the beta because why not? pfSense was UniFi. I had to check for Wi-Fi attacks. Monitor for them. Throw all your logs into Graylog. Wi-Fi attacks aren't that common. One of my mates says Apple TV can't get access to new terms of service without another Apple device. That's funny. You mean that Apple TV requires an iPhone to accept the terms of service? You can't register with Apple Podcasts. Our podcast, we had to register from an Apple device. It says you can do it without an Apple device. We couldn't get it to work. It wouldn't load the page. We pulled it up on an Apple device, worked immediately. Thought that was kind of strange. And yes, I even tried loading Safari on something else. It just didn't work right. What was the question? 10, any recommendations? Sorry to push you. Recommendations for 10 gig. What do you want a 10 gig of? Like use Intel cards if you're asking about like building something. Um, I've mentioned this before. If you're dealing with short runs, even Cat 5 will run 10 gig. So you forgot the Y in the title of Large Systems. Yeah, that sounds right. That sounds like me. I probably spelled something wrong. Saturda, Saturda Q&A. Can I change it while it's live? No, whatever. It's spelled wrong today. I fix it after. Can you do snapshots with ZFX on XCPNG? Not via XCPNG. Oh, let's see. Apple, good hardware, oppressive software licensing and business practices. Have you looked at Cotex XDR? Kind of looks like S1 rebranded. There's a handful of weird cybersecurity companies out there. I don't know if they're just rebranding another product. I don't have an answer for that. I don't have time to track it down. How's that? Uh, Man, this is sometimes not easy to find things I'm looking for. One. Like, I think SentinelOne makes a good product. So we use their platform. It gets the job done. We combine that with Huntress, and because SentinelOne does have some false positive, Huntress doesn't. So VMware as a vSAN storage target. I don't really do a lot of vSAN work. Henceforth, we will call this Saturda. We'll go with that. I am new to NAS. I'm also planning to set up TrueNAS for my media. The questions is, I have a budget for 2 HE right now. If I set them a mirror, how do you upgrade? You can't upgrade mirrors to RAID Z1. Bitwarden passwordless thoughts. Haven't used it, so no thoughts on it. I trust Bitwarden to do things right. Fortunate enough to move through the house. What happened to Cat5e? The walls, landline. Guess what? There's RJ45 and switches. I have 2 Proxmox nodes getting IP from pfSense VLAN interface. They get IP DHCP, but not show up in DHCP leases. If they get an IP address from pfSense, they're going to show up in the leases. SentinelOne and antivirus would be, it's not, yes, but it's way more than that. SentinelOne gives you way more than just a antivirus. When will this be released? Ooh, I know we're close, but I don't know when it'll be released. We know they are targeting a January release, so maybe in the next week, but I just don't know. Do you do any phishing awareness training or phishing testing in general? Yes, we use Fin Security. I have a demo of Fin Security. I have a whole demo of their product. Overkill for home. It's an expensive. If you're asking about SentinelOne, the licensing may put you out of there. You need to buy a minimum number of licenses in order to use it. So it may not be something that you. I don't know that there's any type of way a home user can get it. Fiber's being saw in my neighborhood. Looking forward to switching away from Xfinity and going to 2 gig. Hey, that's awesome. Fin is great. Yes, Fin's a good system. For most home users, I just recommend using the Microsoft one. It works. I'd push for recommending that. What else? What else are we going to talk about here? See, there's nope, no updates available. I'm closing down all these extra windows I have open for things. I just realized there's a new version of Portainer, so I need to upgrade that. What's the price? That depends on how many endpoints you're getting. I don't know, $7, $8 when you prepay for like a year per endpoint and you're buying like 100. And that's a per month price, like $7 per month. I don't know, something along those lines. What's your current recommendation for exterior camera at home? Because it's UniFi, but I'm open to other brands. Well, if your current ecosystem is UniFi, you can't tie non-UniFi cameras to a UniFi camera system. If you're willing to use a different NVR, such as Synology, I really like the Amcrest cameras. These are all Amcrest. Like this camera here is a 4K Amcrest AI camera. If you type in Amcrest cameras on my channel, you'll find the review with all the model and part numbers in it and how they work. I've had decent luck with Komodo and it's free. Komodo is an awful company. I've done a video where I rant about Komodo and their terrible business practices. So take that for what it's worth. I was running it on an I don't know, was it a L480? I had an L480 Lenovo. I currently have some Dell laptop that I don't remember the model number of. Someone should plug in emulate the UniFi cameras and plug in RTSP from other cameras spoofing. I don't think it's worth it. They've talked a little bit about their new what do they call it? Cosmic desktop? Is it called Cosmic? The new desktop they're working on. I don't know really how good it is or where it's at, so I don't know. I don't have too much news on it. What's your pitch of Fin versus No Before? Fin is way more automated, way more. No Before cannot do the automation level that Fin does. Full disclosure, I'm an investor in Fin. So I actually don't just like the product. I invested money into the product because I liked it that much. So I will disclose that up front. I'm a shareholder. What software are you using for the stream? Is it OBS? Also, you're using Yeti mic? Yes, this is a Yeti. And big reason that it sounds decent is I built the studio with a lot of echo canceling. I'm using StreamYard for this part. Do you do any digital signage? Not really. The signage pie, yes. I like those, but I haven't done any if you look for signage on my in my channel, you'll find I did a review of the pie signage. I haven't really used any other ones. Cosmic, and it's written in Rust. Yes. Okay, it is called Cosmic. Cool. The first thing anyone's channel should consider is purchasing at home is what iNet is available. I was closed up front, disclose it after the fact. Well, yeah, I've disclosed it in other videos, like my video for Fin. I say I'm an investor at the beginning of the video. So you're right. Technically, I said I recommended Fin and then said I was an investor. Good point. I'll take it. Select another program for cameras. Audio is leaking into stream. Really? Shouldn't be. It's muted. Or does it? Huh. That's interesting if it goes in there. Weird. Really? I did not know it did that. That's interesting. Just upgraded pfSense CE to Plus. Didn't realize it was free for home users. Boot environments feature is awesome. Yep. What VoIP do you recommend as a reseller or for home use? For home use, VoIP.ms. As a reseller, call us and we'll sell you VoIP. Do you resell Fin to non-MSP customers? Not right now. But if you contact them, if you want to use it as a non-MSP, you could probably use it. I guess I need to know, like, internal IT teams could use this. Heard the car. Tab audio. Huh. For signage, Yodec is way easier. I haven't used Yodec. I don't keep up with signage is not a big part of my business. We helped a couple people with some projects a couple times. It's not something that we run around doing. It's not something I have a ton of experience in. How do you assign IPs? Totally random? Use some other method? Use DHCP. Always use, I try to use DHCP whenever possible. It makes changing things way easier. DHCP for the win. Could I set up VoIP in my local network like an old intercom? Yes, you can. You can use free PBX for that. Chris from Crosstalk Solution has hours and hours of tutorials on that topic. Certisite. Their logo is similar to yours. I saw on the highway the other day going to Kalamazoo. Who is Certisite? I don't know who they are, so I don't know how I feel about it. Oh, their logo is not similar to mine. I wouldn't say that that's similar to mine. You know whose logo is similar to mine? Let's just get this out of the way here. There's a company that has a similar logo to me. It's these guys. Look how much, I mean, they're even using orange. By the way, my logo predates theirs. That's why this is funny. I had that logo my logo's been since 2015. I think theirs came in like 2018. So for what it's worth. Didn't you just have snow? Why is your lawn so? Snow comes and goes in Michigan. I don't know if the 3100 can run ZFS. I don't think it can. I think for some reason that one can't. Never about to look into upgrading pfSense plus CE. Is it a hard process? Nope. Dead easy to do. CE is not really lagging behind in releases, but the process is really, really simple. DHCP static assignment on a DHCP server. Yeah, it's just easier. LTT. Tom Tech Tips. Much better. Yeah, we had snow for like 2 weeks here, and that was about it. So let's try this. I closed it, so we shouldn't get this anymore. Filter. Backyard 1 minute per week. Oh, this is only going. I only go back. I don't have any monthly ones. Oh, I thought I had a monthly one. If you have a monthly one, you'd be able to watch the snow change because this is what it looks like for a week. But it's been muddy for a week, so yeah, there's no. It was really snowy. We had some snow again. That's what those. This is a time lapse, but you can see things haven't really changed much over a week. If you want pfSense for business, you need to pay. Let's go ahead and sort that out. No. Where's it at? So here's the, and maybe I need to do an updated video on this because so many people seem to be confused by this. Home, lab, TAC Lite. So there's your TAC Lite, still no charge. TAC Professional, $400 a year. So right now they offer TAC Lite. So that's their pricing on it. They're talking about TAC Lite in the future costing $129 per year, which I think is incredibly reasonable. But free for home labs is their non-commercial home lab use free. Now, I think it's actually interesting that they have a distinguishing difference. I think it's just so they can track how many licenses they give out for people that claim to be using for home versus lab. But either way, TAC no charge. And it sounds like in the future, I don't know when in the future, but they plan to charge $129. And you also get it for free with your pfSense hardware devices. Oh, let's see. If you want SLAs, you pay. Yep, that's how that works. Have to pay for support, not licenses. Essentially, yeah. Is there any good hardware devices run pfSense 2.5 gig on or even 1 gig? I mean, the little Protect Tele boxes work, so they're fine if you want to use them. They're very functional. So are the Cotoms. I think they're good for home use. I don't really recommend them for business use. For business use, we try to put everyone, try to keep them uniformly on Netgate because it's easier to support and everything else. TAC, I forgot what TAC stands for. It's what they call support. Is TAC. I forget, it has a name, but their support people are called TAC. Technical assistance or something. I don't. Someone answer for me that's better at Googling what pfSense calls TAC. You should send LTT a jokey case cease and desist. I don't want to. If I knew him personally, it might be a fun video, but I don't know him personally. I should have added good IPsec and remote VPC client speed. That's a function of processor. Go with a Netgate device if you want guaranteed. If you want guaranteed speed results, go with the Netgate device because they haven't published. I believe anyone here at the company use some form of pfSense, Netgate, or custom box for firewalls at home. And only when firewall implement clients just bloody works. Yes. Is there any performance reason to run a PF directly on any appliance? Yes. You can run into way more quirky issues if you run it virtualized. It's not that you can't. You just are more likely to have a problem if you do. Your experience may vary. Technical Assistance Center. All right, a few people have answered this. Found it. TAC Technical Assistance. Yeah, like they have a weird name for it. Whatever. That's how I feel. Just what is, as long as it works, that's what matters. But I don't see any reason not to upgrade. Generally, is there a good way to optimize WireGuard for better speed besides setting same MTU and speed using wired instead of wireless? No, I mean, other than and I've referenced Christian McDonald's video on that. He's got a video on setting up WireGuard. It's easy to find. I've posted it many times in my own forums. If you type in Christian McDonald pfSense WireGuard setup, you'll find it. He outside of that, no. I mean, the rest of it's just processor based at that point. Ever use Pi-hole and Unbound in a production environment? No, I wouldn't. Not for a business. We'd never use it in a business. I don't even see a use case for it in a business. We use PF Blocker because it's on pfSense, but that's it. Running pfSense and a Dell R20 at home, 10 gig NIC routing, redundant drives. Doesn't make financial sense. And it depends where you're at. If you're in Europe, power is expensive. If you're here in the United States, power is cheap. So it comes down to where you're at. What are your views on smart homes? Oh, I don't. Well, that's because I use this. Wait, wrong one. Well, no, it's the right one. It's just the one at my office. Let me switch to the one here. So we use them here. Where is it at? 1 second, I'll pull it up. I use this. This is what allows me to control the lights and everything else. So I don't mind smart home because I'm in control of it. I manage all these right here. So there's the studio lights. If I flip any switches, the camera will cut out. So I'm not going to do that. So I self-host all that. I forget how does XP work with 12 gen and efficiencies VMware doesn't like. I don't know how efficient they are. There's a discussion about that in their forums. What are you paying in the US for 1 kilobit? I'd have to Google that. I don't look much. I know it's reasonable. Yeah. 8 or 9 cents. Oh, there's my wife. She wants to go buy a new dresser. So that means she's off work at 3 o'clock. All right. Any last questions before I stop or my wife comes down here and makes me stop? She wants to go buy stuff. That's well, she's buying it. I just got to help carry it. Yep. We're actually not going to IKEA. She didn't find a dresser at IKEA she liked. My couch is from IKEA. I love our new couch. I think I have a picture. Here, we'll share my couch before we go. I think I got a picture of it in here somewhere. That's the new couch we got from IKEA. But I like their furniture's good. But we couldn't find a dresser we liked. So, and this was at Christmas. And my wife's like, "Why are you taking pictures?" Because that's what she does. But that's my living room for anyone that cares, which probably is no one. uh, I think we're all still talking about electricity and how many watts. I do have a space heater. By the way, I can zoom in a little bit. I can just turn off. I don't know if you hear the click or not. Space heater's off. I keep a radiator style space heater in my area because it gets cold down here in the winter. But I do have my Home Assistant tied to my Synology. I can turn the lights off behind me. I think you'll see them if I make it full screen. What speakers? Klipsch. I only care that I'm jealous of how nice your home is. Well, thank you. Oh, my wife likes to call me a troll because I work under her. She's in the room above me. Yeah, the matter of fact, I don't have I think I got a picture of my studio in here. But yeah, here's my studio. I have a whole video where I break down the build, but I'm sitting right here and there's a camera here. I'm sitting looking at this monitor here, and there's the space heater. That's where that is. So and on the other side of me, this is the other side of my basement. So it's not finished yet, but like I have these doors, and that door goes into where my server room is and stuff like that. But anyways, yeah, we built a lot of stuff at the house. That's I document as we build things. Like this is a studio getting built. This is what my studio looked like before I built it. For anyone curious, like I did most all this work myself. Everything from the lighting, the electrical, quite a bit of it. Do a YouTube Shorts review of your clips. I love home audio stuff, but I don't love it enough to do YouTube videos on it. Maybe I'll post it on my personal channel. I don't know. This is not the Synology app. This is Google Photos. Is that a smart couch? Yeah. My house is about 2,000 square feet upstairs and another 2,000 square feet downstairs. It only has here's what it looks. That was when we first put the walls. I think I have older pictures before I built the walls, but yeah. Here's all the dimensions. This is the dimensions of my house too. I laid all this out because this is we did a bunch of planning to build the studio. This is my studio. Somewhere in there's a calculation. So 741 square feet here. I didn't do the square footage for my studio, but it's probably another, I don't know. It's a lot. Like I said, my house is roughly in each area, some 2,000 square feet up and 2,000 square feet down, roughly. There's the old couch. I got to do new photos because there's new. And by the way, these photos go all the way back to there's my basement. I'm sitting right here. So that's before it was all built, in case you're wondering. I'm sitting about where these boards are. So I have pictures from the very beginning on this. I need MFA on the doors. A video on mobile phone, photo backup, photo prism, Synology photos, or something. I use Synology photos to back up all my personal photos. Now I got to get a dresser. Do I have to tap the ceiling to have Cass let me out? Yes. Actually, she'll come down here and open the door and drag me out in a minute. I have a feeling that's coming. I've been doing this live stream for 2.5 hours. I guess I got to go buy some furniture. It's that time again. So thank you, everyone who joined and stayed with me while I ramble on about nothing about houses. So, there's what it looked like step by step the whole time, all the way till built. Want to see my attic? I actually have a video I forgot about. I actually showed how we wired this. I never released a video. I got to put that together because this was a pain to wire, but it's done. This is the basement before it was done. And then down here is the basement after it was done. What a difference it looks like. But nonetheless, I'm going to wind it down. Thank you all for joining. I got to run. I will watch my Cisco video. Let me know if my opinions are right or not, and appreciate all of you. I have more videos coming now that I got the Cisco dashboard one out of the way. Head in my forums for more in-depth discussion. A few of you said you were going to DM me or message me on LinkedIn. Definitely do that so we can keep the conversation going. All right, and thanks.